We're back. It's the greatest player to never lace them up. It's the greatest game watcher of all time. Someone who's definitely been watching every single basketball game that he's can over the past week. What's up? I know you're saying to yourself, hey, you were doing like a weekly little thing and then like you didn't. What happened? Well, for starters, I just like really got bogged down with life and stuff. You know, life happens. Really got tired, to be honest. And I got to that part of the season where I experienced fatigue with basketball in general. When you consume so much basketball, some of the games start to blend together, and I couldn't give you the quality of analysis that I really wanted to give you. So instead of putting out some really bad videos, which I know if somebody saw them, they would just kill the channel anyway, and the channel's already like not exactly doing well. But you know you gotta pretend like it is no matter what. Yeah, so I didn't do that, and I decided to wait until I was really back into it. And I wanted to do a video about the NBA Cup, so this is gonna be for the most part, this is gonna be a recap of the entire like Cup experience and how I feel about it. Because I was at a certain point, I was sitting around, looking around, thinking to myself, man, I don't really like the NBA Cup. Maybe I just don't like how it works. Maybe I don't like how it's three groups. And I was thinking like that the entire time, right? It was really getting to me, bogging me down. It was making me like depressed even at some point in time. I was like, man, I'm just not in love with this right now. And I was wondering what was going on. It turns out nothing. Just, sometimes you're going to feel like that. You're going to feel bad sometimes. It happens. It happens to the best of us. I'll turn this fan off because it's annoying me. And I know maybe you can't hear it, but I can. It's pretty bad. Yeah, if you're wondering why I look so different, yeah, I've shaved between then, and maybe I'm a little bit taller, maybe the angle's better, maybe you're catching my drift, maybe you're liking my style a little bit, maybe you're checking me out. Hold on, you know. I'm gonna introduce some more light into this scene because I definitely planned for it to be brighter. Maybe that's a little bit too much. Who knows? But yeah, yeah, that's how that was going. Life. So, yeah, that's how life was going. How have you guys been? I'll give you 30 seconds to respond and tell me how your life is going. Okay. All right. How's your mom? Your dad? Your friends? That's good to hear. That's good to hear. All right, now back to the video. So, yeah, no, I was feeling pretty negative about the Cup prior to everything, and I was feeling like basketball was going to get very boring. Now, this video is recorded on a Saturday morning, the day after Friday, obviously. And the Cup is ended. I was super concerned for multiple reasons about the Cup. One, because OKC had been doing so well, I thought it was a foregone conclusion that they would just win the entire Cup. And they were doing and a lot of things too. They were doing this well without some of their best players. And I know they had a weaker schedule, and everyone was talking about that. And they're going to talk about that too a lot now after what we saw. But I want people to remember we knew about this going into the season, how their schedule was looking, and how it was kind of soft it was, kind of cupcakey even. Obviously, they played some of the dogs in the West, but I don't think they played the Nuggets yet. I cannot recall that game at least. If they played the Nuggets yet, I don't think they have. Obviously, the rematch of the finals was not what we expected because Indiana just fell off the cliff. Obviously, without their biggest defensive guy and their biggest offensive guy, and Halliburton and Turner from that playoff run, right? Even though Siakam is their best player, but here and there, you get into Siakam debates and you talk about Siakam actually being their best player, and then some people look at you like you crazy. I am not crazy. You might be crazy, but I'm not. At least to y'all, but not here nor there. As far as at the beginning of the season, I really want to retract my thoughts because I remember OKC being in close dogfights they were in an overtime battle against they went to overtime against Houston, they went to overtime against another team, and then we got to that part of the season where they blew LA out, and it was like, oh damn, no one has a chance, right? Obviously Houston started off the season a little rough in my opinion, but I thought they would be way worse than they were now. They've encountered some no rough tries, so they're meeting expectations about where I thought they'd be, given the point of the season. But it didn't go the exact same way I predicted. Now, a team that has gone exactly as I predicted, because they're the unluckiest team in the league, and they also just make my ass itch. Cleveland Cavaliers. I don't feel like even talking about them. They're actually really disgusting me right now. Yeah, they are such a 500 ball club right now. It's actually gross. Now, again, Max Strus is not played. Darius Garland is not fully healthy. That toe is still nagging him, obviously. Evan Mobley has not taken the strides of a player that he's in because he's had so many different fucking rotations. So the offensive production that you're seeing from him, even though I would like for him to take a leap, I want him to be more aggressive and assertive on the offensive end. That is the biggest problem that I think this team has right now. But his role has been inconsistent, and everybody's missed games at this point. Mobley's missed games. Mitchell's missed a couple of games, literally 2, I think. Obviously Garland's missed a lot of games. Strus hasn't played for us at all. It's been like 30 games he hasn't touched the floor yet. Remember this team, when this team initially got Darius Garland, they initially got Strus. The offseason they signed Strus. This was before the 64-1 season. When we just had Donovan Mitchell, I was like, we need a good small forward to round out this roster, and this team will be all right. That was the year they lost to Boston, right? I was like, if they do that, we'll be great. We'll be great. Straight up. I think we'll be good. And then the next season, we were a lot better, but we were injured in the playoffs again. And by the way, for those wondering, why do you need another small forward if you have DeAndre Hunter on the team? Because DeAndre Hunter doesn't guard as well as you think he does. That's also another problem with this team. This team has a lot of glaring issues in front of it, and not only all of the issues that I just talked about, but they're about to be over the second. They're the only team in the second tax day print. So if they don't get healthy soon. By the way, Sam Merrill's also missed a lot of games, and I know you're saying to yourself, Sam Merrill, no one was looking for him last season. Yeah, no one was looking for him last season before he caught absolute fire and became this good of a on-ball player. Because Sam Merrill used to be a spot-up guy for us. He's taken a massive stride in being able to handle the ball and all that shit. That is amazing for him. I love that. Also, we've lost on Tyler Jerome. So this team is very different from the one we've seen last year, just because of chemistry and health things. That's neither here nor there. I love the team, but they are been massively disappointing. But I was starting to talk about the cup before I was rudely interrupting myself. The cup experience has been very, very, very different, to be quite honest, this year. Going into the cup last year, I had zero clue who was going to win. I had no idea who was going to win. I was like, maybe OKC will win it because they were doing really well at the time, and they were really starting to show up on the scene and emerge and stuff. But like, OKC could lose at that point. We were very much sure that they could lose to Western teams, and if OKC is not the team that comes out of there in the West and represents the West, they could easily, whatever team that was, could easily lose to whatever team in the East just because it's a single elimination game and whatnot. And I was thinking all that shit, right? But this year, it felt really bad because of how dominant OKC was. And I know you're saying to yourself, it felt bad because of how dominant OKC was? What if another team was dominant? Wouldn't you hate that? Don't you guys like super teams? No, nigga. I've never liked super teams. I actually hate the common NBA fan of, we need dynasties. Dynasties are good for the league. I don't give a fuck about what's good for the league. Is dynasty good basketball to watch? Sometimes, yes. But that's when there's multiple superstars on the team. Okay? When LeBron and the Miami Heat were doing that shit, that was interesting because A, there was multiple teams that could actually contend with them. They were actually close enough, right? And 2, more importantly, even if the teams couldn't compete with them out east, there was an entire another conference. It's not the same thing. If Shay's in the Thunder are dominating the West, that means no team is fucking with them. So that was scary. And 2, the thing about the past champions, right? If OKC wins it, obviously it'll legitimize the cup even more, right? Because the Lakers won it the first year. The Lakers have a historic franchise, blah, blah, blah. It's fitting for them to win the first cup. The Bucks won it. Giannis, absolutely dominant player. Taking nothing away from that. That's amazing. That's brilliant. That's great. That's good. We like that. And then this year, I was thinking OKC would win it. You know, that would legitimize it even more. Be exposed like that OKC might be this incoming dynasty, and you know they won the cup, they won the championship, all that shit did the same year, Shea and all that. Then he would obviously win the whatever award they give out for that, because you know it's been LeBron James and then it's been Giannis. That would be even better for the league, right? Really legitimize the shit. But it wouldn't be fun in my opinion. I didn't think that would be fun, and that's not because OKC is a bad team or anything, and they're unfun to watch or hard to root for, or their defense is boring and all that shit. No, I'm not like another one of these bum ass analysts that'll just tell you stuff and be like, oh, the game sucks now. It was so much better when I was younger. Blah 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 blah. Nostalgia. Yeah, no. None of that. That's not why it was. It was the dominance of OKC was so stifling. It was hard to watch sometimes. Yeah, because you were like, I'm not gonna lie. You look at the schedule, like, this team can't. OKC, it's like 3 teams in the West that can fuck with OKC. This not team, right? So Wemby is obviously coming back, right? I'm looking over at Wemby versus LA. I want to talk about all of this shit from the Spurs perspective because I think that's the most entertaining route and facet of all of this shit. The Spurs, by the way, have not had Wemby this entire season. I don't know which is not like as in like he has not played for them at all, but I mean like he hasn't been there 100%, right? Fox hasn't been there 100%. Castle's mixed a couple of games, maybe like 3, if that many. Their rookies missed games. I think his name is Carter Bryant. He's missed games. Shohan is completely out of the rotation. It's a very interesting team, right, to watch. But when they went up against LA, I was like, LeBron is back and they rolling. And Austin Reeves is rolling and Luka's rolling and Wemby not playing. I mean, shit. How the fuck is this team gonna win, bro? They showed up and showed out against them. They absolutely showed up and showed out against them. It was perfect. I loved it. And that was just the first like round. That was really good. I was like, maybe the Cubs got a chance. I'm like, if Wemby comes back, because I know you're saying to yourself, what are you saying? Yeah, when I saw the Suns were matched up against OKC, and here's some context for you. The Suns had a very close game. I'm sorry, I sneezed. The Suns had a very close game against. Actually, I have a napkin here. Sorry. Suns had a very close game against OKC, right? And they were very close. Very, very close. I mean, like, within less than 5 points. And this OKC team has been putting belt to ass, blowing motherfuckers the fuck out. Shea don't even touch the fourth quarter type shit. Shea had to play the entire game. That was very close, right? Obviously, they played the Timberwolves a couple of times this season already. And they fucked them up. They gave them the belt. Foreshadowing for later in the video when I talk about that game that I just saw last night. It was interesting. The first half of that game and the last half of the game was completely different. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, and that was Jalen Williams' first game coming back. I was like, if they can't fuck with them like this, like when Jalen Williams' first game coming back, he might fuck up the flow of the offense a little bit because, you know, they're trying to get him indoctrinated back into the system. You know how he's working. He's the second best offensive player, so he's gonna want touches and shit to get like back in a rhythm and all that. Yeah, that can fuck up the team's like chemistry and flow and how they're moving, right? Especially because AJ Mitchell is actually their second best player right now. Because Jalen's still not 100%. Lou Dort has fallen off. I would like to point those things out. These are all things that they were prepared for. Jalen Williams is just gonna be like that because he's gonna get better throughout the season. Obviously, duh. Chat's taking leaps and stuff. We're worried about stuff like that. We're worried about the regressions of lesser role players like Alex Caruso. Well, not lesser, but I just want to say lesser role players because they're not the 3 guys. Alex Caruso, Lou Dort, Hartenstein at some points in time during the season. Like, you overpaid for those guys and stuff, but you have the assets and ability, and you also have their replacements that are right on the roster right now. As far as Case and Wallace, you're going to draft it. They're probably going to draft another big during the season, but that's neither here nor there. OKC, but safe to say, OKC put belt to Phoenix like they were supposed to. And then out east, this was the closest game in the first round because I was nervous about this. We had both of the Florida teams going after each other, Orlando and Miami, and of course Miami just found a new way to lose because they came out scorching hot. They're the best team when it comes to putting out points in the first quarter. And if you let them dogpile on you in the first quarter, bro, you not bouncing back from that belt. That being said, this team has been prone to choke leads. This team is still dealing with Tyler Hero coming back, trying to get him in the offense and flow that. But also, Tyler Hero is the guy, and the guy needs to take a lot of shots. So if Tyler Hero not having a good night, that means the offense is fucked up. Right? Obviously. Bam was even having a good game. Bam hit a couple of turnarounds, looking like A'ja Wilson. Like, straight up her moves. Like, I'm like he was in the offseason training with her, clearly, right? No offense to A'ja, but, you know, as far as an NBA player goes, like, it's like, Is Asia to go to the WNBA? Yes. Would Asia be able to make an NBA roster? I'm going to leave that up to the comment section. That's none of my business. I'm not going to say how I feel about it because I feel like if this video blows up, whatever way I respond, whichever way I respond, by the way, is going to give me backlash. So I'm just not going to answer the question. I'm just going to pose it and move on. Yeah, that game was incredibly close. And Desmond Bain exploded for like, what, 20 in the second half? That shit was over. Man, the second I saw them niggas give up that lead, like by like 5 or 6 points, I was like, yeah, they don't have enough juice to come back from this. It's done. It's over with. Yeah, that was that game. New York played against Toronto, which I'm not going to lie. It was a close game until it wasn't. That's been a lot of these NBA Cup games. I want to be honest with you because these games had playoff intensity. And this can happen to you in a playoff game, especially when it's a single elimination. Oh, yeah, this can happen to you. The Cup is very entertaining and interesting. And one of those teams that I just mentioned won it all. It's crazy, guys. Who could that team be? Who could that team be, viewer? Type it now in the comment section below. Whatever. So, when the matches were set, we had Orlando versus Toronto, and not Toronto, my fault. Toronto's dead. Orlando versus New York. So, and then we had OKC versus the Spurs. Now, these games were night and day. Because, I'm not going to lie to you. I looked over at New York, and I looked over at Orlando, and I already knew how this shit was going to go. Because these teams have played each other a couple of times this season, and New York's offense gives these niggas the blues. Especially because France, which he didn't play, I wanted to point that out. France, their actual best player, not Paulo. Paulo's not their best player. It's France. Paulo was playing, and France wasn't playing. And Paulo was just coming back from an injury, and France just found himself on injury. They're never playing together, which is... Like, they have streaks playing together, obviously. But, like, I mean, it feels like, bro, as soon as one comes down with an injury, bro, the one that gets back, and then they're staggering their injuries or some shit. Like, instead of minutes on the court, they're staggering their injuries. It is really, really something to behold, you know? Really something to behold. I'm not gonna lie. I knew New York was gonna give them niggas the blues, especially because Cat. That's one of those matches where Cat is going to feast on lowbrows. I don't care what it is, because Jalen can't even defend that guy. Like, when Cat's guarded by little players, this is something that niggas need to give Cat a lot of credit for. He does not really put that ball below, and also he's frying your big, bro. If he feels like your guards are actually gonna be a problem, he's not even gonna get to the post. He's just gonna straight shoot that nigga to death. Like, he's gonna shoot. Whoa, pause. I didn't mean like that. He's going to shoot 3-pointers over your big to death. And your big is going to be exhausted guarding this nigga on the perimeter, by the way. And God forbid they bite on that pump fake because yes, Cat is clumsy and not as elegant and nimble as he could be sometimes. But Cat, if you bite, Cat is going to the rim. And that why won't you lie. Yeah, but regardless, New York put that through. I was looking at the OKC. Wemby's return game versus the dominant OKC, handed them their second loss of the season, making them go 25-2. Like, oh my goodness! Like, couldn't have come at a more perfect time. By the way, for those of you wondering, how does this affect their record, right? San Antonio's record. All of the other games against the West the West games are all contained in that stuff for the regular season. This Cup game is a complete outlier and doesn't have any implications for the actual playoffs that are happening in April, or as far as seeding or anything like that. Not at all. But boy, does it matter, because 500,000. And they remind you every time, 500,000 is on the line. They keep saying 500,000. I'm like, 500,000 does not sound as sexy as 500,000 in my opinion. Now, you can debate with whoever you want to in the comment section below. Go ahead. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, all that other stuff. But, you know, you debate on that. I think 500,000 sounds much sexier than 500,000. Even though they're the exact same amount. Hey, whatever. Okay, so finally, we're going to talk about the New York game versus the Spurs, right? Because everyone's talked about the Thunder's game to death. It was the greatest game of the season, apparently, to some people. Even though the Thunder have multiple game of the year kind of get games, even one of them on the opening game night, by the way. Yeah, no, and I think also the Houston's versus Nuggets games have been very interesting. I think those have been great too. Basically, Western top team showdowns have been fucking killer, dude. They've been totally radical. Just ignore everything I said because it's so cringe. I'm sorry. The intensity of that game is amazing. Obviously, and the defensive fouls and stuff, and also like the level of defense. People have been talking about the level of defense that OKC gets to play, and how Shea is such a master of manipulating defenders and getting these calls and stuff. And they're like, oh, it's really bad for the game when Shea can do whatever the fuck he wants, and then you can't touch him. Dude. So all of the things that I've just said, and all of the stuff I'm talking about the cup. By the way, the Knicks won the cup, if you're wondering. Yeah, San Antonio completely crumbled at like the last 5 minutes of the game. They fell apart, dog. They did not look ready to guard a big like Cat in that moment, especially because Cat can actually pass. Cat actually has decent vision, and I think that just comes from him being a veteran at this point in time. But like Cat actually has decent vision, so like nigga, he was picking him up. And by the way, Mikal Bridges wasn't there. And they traded a lot of resources and shit for Mikal Bridges. So if he's fucking hurt, that's gonna be a problem. That right there, that's gonna be a problem. You believe me, Jerry? That's gonna be a problem. Yeah, but whatever. Right, all of this comes to a head last night, and you're like, why aren't you about to talk about any of the other games? Have you looked at the Detroit? I love Detroit's basketball games. I've viewed both of their games against the Celtics, and I love them. I'm here to talk about this last game, because this video is almost 25 minutes long, and I'd like to wrap it up around there. Dear God, last night. So, Minnesota played against OKC, and the last time OKC played against Minnesota this season, let's just say it wasn't pretty for Minnesota's offense. The offense couldn't get shit off. And OKC was rolling like they usually do. They were button belts ass, but it was a little close at some points sometimes. So you were thinking to yourself, dang, what the fuck? Right? I would like to point out that all of these losses so far have been with these back-to-back losses, Jalen Williams managed to find his way back to the court. Up! Did I say something? Oh. It almost sounded like I was pushing the blame on somebody. Yeah, no, Jalen Williams was not responsible for this last night. Jalen Williams actually had his shit going. I remember I went to the second half, and Shea had been scoreless in the second quarter, but he had 11 points in the literal first. I was completely worried, especially when I saw that foul that Anthony Edwards got there with clear pass. I was like, oh, here we go. Because Minnesota had hit a couple of threes back to back. By the way, the big ragu, Dante DiVincenzo, man, he was amazing. I really like how Randall sealed off a smaller player on the post. Like I'm actually like watching. If you actually watch Minnesota's games this year, their offense has been much better than people have been giving credit for. Now they've been missing shots, which is a problem, but their offense looks much more competent than it did. Now Chris Finch. I know you're saying to yourself, why are you talking about something that happened in the first quarter now? Chris Finch got tossed out of the game, and I came into the game a little bit late. I'll be honest. I came into the game a little bit late. I came into the second quarter. I'm hearing Shea, by the way, who was the only nigga who in double digits who had all of his points in the first quarter at that point in time. I was like, oh God. By the way, Ant finally eked his way into the double digits during the third. I was like, oh shit, this is some real, bro. I'm like, because I came into the game, it was a defensive affair. Niggas wasn't hitting shit. I turned on a game and was really locked into it. Man, they were balling. They were brother. They were hitting everything. Every shot was going in. Jalen Williams had a couple of tough shots that were going in. Shea missed a couple of shots, but then Shea got back to the line. Shea had some free throws. You know, Shea gonna Shea. And Shea hit a couple of threes. It was looking. I was like, oh, shit. We're in for a duel. Man, we were in for a duel. Man, I'm telling you. I did not think OKC was going to lose. I thought something was going to come together. I thought they were going to patch it up. Man, they did not. So yeah, that happened. It was, I'm so serious when I say this. I cannot believe that game went the way that it did. Man, they were talking about the officiating and stuff, and people are really having this debate and stuff. So I think they might change how they officiate on OKC. If you're worried about stuff like that. That being said, like, another classic game. OKC has played some. OKC has had some classics. Now they've had 3 losses in a row, and their schedule is only going to get even more difficult going towards that February part of the season. That's when their really difficult games actually start coming up, especially with Wemby being healthy and back. We need to worry about stuff like that. If you're worried about basketball getting stale or boring because of the dominance of OKC, you might want to keep holding off on that, because these not that I thought they were ever going to go for the record, but those talks about them being a 78 pace win team, yeah, that shit need to stop. I know I had this bold prediction. I know you're saying to yourself, bold prediction. I really didn't think that they were going to win 68 games this year. I don't think they're going to repeat what they did last year. I don't think they're even trying to do that. I think they want to see some internal improvement, and with the injuries that they sustained at the very beginning of the season, with Jalen Williams and stuff, that's going to take a little bit of time and effort to get him reevaluated into the roster and see how he really fits into it and what this role should be. I think AJ Mitchell's minutes have been reduced, and I think that's negatively affected the team. I think that we'll see some stuff like that. They got a lot of gadgets and pieces and players on this roster. Please look out for everything that I said in the video, because not even if, because I'm such a basketball genius, a savant, really. When all of the stuff that I talked about in this video becomes relevant again, I just want my like, my comment, my subscribe to double. Yeah, that's going to do it for me. I said I wanted to end this around 25 minutes, 26 minutes, almost 27 minutes, 26.7. I'll see myself out. If you like this video, like this video. If you didn't like the video, tell me why you didn't like it in the comment section below. All that fun stuff, and goodbye.